imagine working a job,
Yeah.
right? Like you clock in, you do your work, but the thing is, your risk of dying by suicide is like 4 times higher than anyone else.
Wow. That's,
It's crazy. That's the reality for construction workers,
yeah.
at least in the UK.
Yeah.
And we're kind of diving into this report today. It's from On the Tools and like this huge online community, all for tradespeople,
Yeah.
And we're going to try and figure out what's going on with this mental health crisis that feels like nobody's really talking about.
Yeah, no, it's really important to shed light on this. It's a big problem. This report really does a good job of, I think, showing what so many people in construction are going through, the struggles and all that.
Yeah. And they start off with some numbers that are like really
Scary.
Yeah, scary, like alarming. The suicide rate for construction workers in the UK, 4 times the national average.
Wow. That's a huge red flag.
Huge red flag. Like what's going on in this industry that is so bad for people's mental health?
I mean, that's a question that researchers have been trying to figure out for a while now.
Right.
A lot of them point to the work itself, right? I mean, it's physically demanding. A lot of times it's high risk, dangerous.
Right.
And there's this culture, kind of like a stoicism, where you just gotta push through pain, both, physical pain, but also emotional pain. And that can make it really, really hard to open up when you're struggling.
Yeah, it's like that whole tough guy image is like kind of a good thing and a bad thing. It's like, we admire that resilience, that toughness.
Right.
But maybe that makes it so you don't actually ask for help when you need it.
Exactly. And the report's not just about suicide, though, right? It's looking at the whole picture of mental health in construction.
Okay.
And they say that 73% of construction workers in the UK, we're talking about 2.1 million people.
Yeah.
They say 73% have said that they've experienced some kind of mental health problem. So we're talking about anxiety, depression, substance abuse.
Yeah.
Like all of it, the whole spectrum.
And over the past decade, they say over 7,000 construction workers in the UK have died by suicide. I mean, those are huge numbers.
How huge?
Like really hard to really imagine. It's just like
it's a lot.
It's a lot, and it makes you think like, what if this was happening to doctors or teachers?
Yeah.
Would people be louder about it? Would people be more upset about it?
I think that's a fair point. It seems like maybe there's a disconnect, right?
Yeah.
Between how important this work is that construction workers do, and how much we're actually paying attention to how they're doing, their well-being, their mental health.
Yeah. There's this story in the report about this guy named James Rees. He's a decorator. Yeah. And, first he gets injured on the job. Yeah. And he gets his tools stolen. So like real bad luck there.
Oh man.
Double whammy, right? and he was saying that he felt like as a failure, like, that he wasn't good enough. And he even said he was thinking about suicide. And it really kind of shows you just how hard it is financially for a lot of people in construction.
Yeah. It's really sad because I mean, James's story isn't that unusual. A lot of people in construction go through stuff like that. The work is often project-based, which means, your income is all over the place. You're always moving from one job to the next. You got to deal with these deadlines that are like crazy.
Yeah.
And you're always worried about, when you're going to get your next paycheck.
Right.
And that takes a toll on anybody, right? I mean, imagine, especially if you're trying to support a family.
Yeah. That financial stress must be like immense.
Oh yeah.
And it's interesting, they said in the report that work absences because of mental health cost the industry £2.7 billion every year. So it's not just about doing the right thing for people, it's also about like the money.
Right. Absolutely.
It makes sense, like business wise.
Totally. And it's not just about the money either. I mean, the report talks about isolation being a big factor too.
Okay.
Construction work can be pretty lonely sometimes if you're like self-employed or if you're working on a job site that's really remote.
Right.
You're not going to be around like coworkers all the time like you would in an office.
Yeah.
And that lack of just, regular social interaction, that can be really hard on people.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I always kind of thought that there was like, a strong sense of camaraderie on construction sites, like everyone's working hard together and that kind of creates like a bond,
Yeah. I mean, there can definitely be that, but that doesn't, change the fact that a lot of construction workers, they spend hours and hours alone,
Right.
often just with their own thoughts. And then you add on top of that the things that are just stressful about the construction industry. Like, they always got to worry about someone stealing their tools.
Right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said 68% of tradespeople, like, every day they're worried about their tools being stolen.
Yeah.
That's like their livelihood.
That's how they make a living.
Yeah. To live with that fear all the time. I mean, it's no wonder people's mental health is suffering,
It's a huge weight to carry around, right? Imagine having to constantly check on your tools, having to pay for all this expensive security stuff.
Yeah.
And still not feeling totally safe.
Right.
I mean, that's going to make you anxious. You're not going to sleep well.
Yeah, yeah. So it's pretty clear we got to do more to help these folks. On the tools, the group that put out this report, they're trying to raise £2.5 million to get counseling for people in the construction industry.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really great. But what can we do? Like, just regular people?
I think the biggest thing is just being aware of it, talking about it.
Yeah.
Sharing the stuff that's in this report.
Right.
That helps to break down that stigma, the stigma around mental health.
Right, right.
And even small stuff can make a difference, Check in on your friends, your family, the people who work in construction.
Yeah.
Let them know you're there for them, and you can support those organizations that are working to get more mental health resources out there.
Yeah, yeah. James Reeves, the guy we were talking about, the decorator, thankfully he's okay, but it kind of makes you wonder, like we benefit from all this construction work, right?
Yeah.
We're building our buildings, our roads, everything. So don't we kind of have a responsibility to make sure they're doing okay,
That's a really good question. We do rely on these folks every single day, but it feels like we don't really think about their mental health all that often.
Yeah.
It's like we got to shift our thinking.
Right. It's not just about, they're the builders.
Right.
They're people. They've got families. They've got dreams. They've got struggles just like everyone else.
Right.
And they deserve to be supported.
Absolutely. This report it's a real wake-up call. I hope everyone listening will check it out, learn more about mental health and how to support the construction industry. Like, it's time we started taking care of the people who take care of like our world,
I agree.
The stuff we live in and drive on and all of that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Totally.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this was a really important one to talk about.
Yeah, no, it was my pleasure.
I hope folks will look into it more.
Me too.
Yeah, great.
Awesome.